Hello and welcome to AI Things Podcast, episode 5, I think. Today, we have a very special guest, Sohail. And of course, we're joined by my co-host, Michael. Please, guys, say hi to the guests.
Hi.
Hi.
Sohail, how are you feeling today?
I'm good. Didn't have the best sleep last night, but I'm doing okay. I guess
All right.
I'm waking up. So,
Well,
how about you?
according to your show, you're going to be extra creative today. Yeah.
I guess so.
Yeah. Well, let's jump in. So, we think you've done some incredible work very lately, and you came to AI Builders, our favorite event of the month, and you showed up some fantastic research, very biased in some ways. Do you want to introduce what you showed at AI Builders?
Sure. Yeah. Like Mike said, I'm Sohail. So I'm working as a machine learning engineer for one of the universities right now. And my day job is building web agents, agentic AI frameworks for the universities and the university workflows. And after my 9 to 5, for my 5 to 9, as they call it, I do a lot of experiments. I do a lot of videos, create content in kind of many platforms, and try to educate about AI, I guess. But I don't think I'm a very, I think I'm creeping up to, I don't know, maybe becoming a good creator in AI space. But then it's something that is very close to me, which I'm passionate about. So I kind of do that.
Yeah, we
And
definitely can
I
hear
do a
it.
lot of, yeah.
Today.
And I do run a lot of experiments on the site, right? For a lot of things. So these ideas kind of pop up in my head, and I just go into Cloud Code and start building it. That's what I do. And one of those ideas is, given $100,000 to all three frontier AI labs and their models, which is ChatGPT, Gemini, and Claude, without any strategy baked in, and without introducing any bias from our side, which AI performs well is the premise of the competition. And the basic kind of benchmark is it has to beat NASDAQ, because if AI or any algorithm for that matter is not beating the benchmark, then there is no point investing in all these resources. You can just invest your money in the benchmarks ETF and forget, and it will outperform all this strategies.
Sahil,
So
so as you know, human hedge funders, they barely outperform S&P 500 or Nasdaq anyway, you know.
they do outperform, but they don't outperform consistently. I think that's the right word. I think maybe an year or two they do outperform, but I think more than 95% of hedge funds do not outperform S&P 500 consistently, is the right way to put it, I think.
Yeah, very, very politically correct.
Yeah.
We should say they're not real $100,000, so please
Uh-huh.
sponsor us.
Yeah. Please do. But then,
So,
go ahead.
I was saying, yeah, it's a super interesting idea, I think, because it involves a sort of long-term thinking. And if we just go back to your almost strategy of content producing, right? Which is, let's say there's lots of people who just vibe code in private, they keep it to themselves. And there's people who maybe just produce content. But I think this new era where you can create a demo really quickly, get it online, and what's called almost build in public.
Yeah.
Would you call yourself a public builder, Sohail?
Yeah, for sure. I think that I always found that term where founders use called building in stealth. I don't think that applies in this AI era.
Mhm,
At least that's what I think. I think when building code and building products are getting so cheap and faster, when the loops are getting faster of building products, and all this building software business has kind of commoditized very recently after AI. So you need to have some kind of moat,
mm,
and you need to get your product in front of your eyes, in front of people's eyes as
mhm,
fast as possible,
mhm,
right? One way to do that is if you can raise funding, or if you have money, you can do all kind of marketing strategies everywhere, and that's one of the expensive ways and traditional ways of kind of getting attention to your product.
mhm,
And the other way is a bit free way, where you can build something and put your product in front of people's eyes where they can
mhm,
try out. um, Even recently, right, I there is something that is going on in India, and which I thought, because I'm in London abroad, because of the time differences, I was not able to follow the whole event altogether. So I created a simple app which kind of pulls the latest news about that event or particular kind
mhm,
of protest happening, a live feed. So whenever I wake up, or whenever I have time to follow that event, I kind of open that website or app. It's deployed in Versal now,
mhm,
but all the events has it kind of stacks up the events on a timely basis, maybe on a 10-minute basis, which everything is free, right? Like you can get information from Google RSS feeds, and all this news channels have their own RSS feeds which we can use, which is all free. So that kind of apps might be useful for people who are here or who want to use it. So I've just
mhm,
created it and posted it a story, and I think um at least 10% or 20% of my followers have clicked to that link.
mm,
They might have not used the product, but they have at least clicked. So
mhm,
we are getting that 20% or 10 to 20 odd percentage of eyeballs just like that, because we
mhm,
have built distribution.
mhm,
So I think in this AI era, I definitely feel like public building is really important.
mm. Uh, like what I like to say is code is cheap, but
Yeah.
distribution isn't. Like code distribution, you can't vibe code distribution, at least not like
Yeah.
good quality, essentially. And just for a bit of background, maybe we'll branch off into politics podcast as well. You said you
Sure.
were gathering information about these recent events in India. Were those like
Yeah.
protests that were happening? I saw some stuff on
Yes.
Twitter.
Yes. So it is about so there is this medical entrance exams. It's like a centralized exam
Mm-mm,
that happens in India for medical students. So essentially, when you clear these exams, you go into college, medical schools, etc. And that kind of that so that paper so that exam is kind of a central system which kind of got leaked, and some of the influential people bought the exam, and they essentially knew the questions beforehand, which gave them a very unfair advantage over a genuine
mm-mm,
set of students who were actually studying for the exam and appearing for the exam, which is unfair.
mm-hmm,
And I think there's a lot of controversy happened around that after that as well. But recently it kind of blew up, where there is this new political party that got launched in India, which is fully run by Gen Zs in India, who are educated and who have
mm-hmm,
new thoughts. Um, and they demanded to they demanded a resignation of one of the ministers in India, and it happened actually. So
Hmm.
they did I think around 30-day protest, and they started on July 1st, and or maybe end of June, and right now that minister actually resigned because of these protests and everything. So it's great. I mean, it's unlike the UK where 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 the PM or the ministers do not need to have any protest, but they resign themselves and they don't even complete their term at all. But
Yeah, yeah,
in India, it's different. They do not resign their positions that easily.
yeah. Because this fella, Dharmendra Pradhan,
Dharmendra Pradhan. Yeah,
yeah, he was in his position for about 20 years. I looked it up,
I think
something
so.
like that.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's
average
crazy.
time of a education minister in UK is like 1.5 years.
Yeah. So
uh,
it's crazy.
He,
Yeah.
he couldn't handle the AI things coming up, you know.
yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
I
we're
think
Yeah.
gonna
so.
do a hit piece on him next. So yeah,
Yeah,
just
but I think
Yeah.
actually, Sahil, this is really interesting coming from you in terms of the fact that like you're talking about marketing and distribution, because this is exactly what we previously talked about.
mm,
And we focused a lot saying that, you have a lot of these hackathons, you have a lot of these people building products, right? And it's like, how do you have people differentiate themselves, right?
Yeah.
And, you mentioned marketing, traditional marketing. Like,
Yeah.
what do you think is, if you had to give a couple of tips for listeners, what do you think, or what do you see rather, maybe the guerrilla tactics that people use to try to make their product viral? Tom, let's take some notes for your forecast. Link in the description.
Well, well, I don't. So, how to go viral is a very different topic altogether. And I think most of the virality is almost random. I think in life as well, right? I think most of the success and most of the virality is almost random. That's what I believe. And in life, there is something called as luck stat. So let me tell you about luck stat, right? So we have this luck stat, which is like this randomizer of events that happen in our life, which are completely random. And so, so the idea is how to increase your odds of success is you can engineer that luck by increasing the surface area that you put, like, so it might be building good or great products, or or putting yourself out there, or creating distribution channels, etc. As that luck start increases in your life, I think the probability of success increases, and as a byproduct that can be a successful or a viral product. But uh, but I think to kind of pinpoint the virality, or to reverse engineer the products, or even the influencers who went viral, right, is something which is very uncommon. um, and I think if you have a common idea, or either take a controversial take on it, like, let's say if 90% point to one direction,
mhm.
then maybe you be that person who points in opposite direction, so that one controversial take can produce some viral results. So for example, one of my, I think, reels where I mentioned that vector databases is dead or something like that, which I think has a controversial take to it, and it kind of performed well than my other reels.
Mm,
So that's one take that I can give. And number two is, like, let's say if you are a very conventional guy who is doing very unconventional things, or your aura forming. For example, I'm not sure if you guys have seen, there is this I think middle-aged guy called Kumar, who went viral, I don't know, a month ago. so he's like this uh he's like this, like, conventional looking uh uh dad who was trying to be cool and kind of producing this aura forming videos, which is very unconventional to his image
Mm.
of what someone perceives generally. So yeah, I think so yeah, making or taking a controversial bets or controversial stands, and yeah, packaging something unconventional in conventional setup. I think these are two ways which can work in or work or get virality, I
So,
think.
Sahil, you're saying that just basically standing out from the crowd will get you noticed, in
Yeah,
essence.
yeah,
So, from that, you're saying that actually going viral is not that important as long as you're really noticed. Because I presume, from what you have noticed yourself a lot of the times, is virality does not always equal product adoption.
yeah, yeah. It does not. I mean, so I think predicting virality is really, really tough. At least for me, right? I don't think I might have a great experience yet on what or making every reel, everything that I make go viral. I don't think that I have reached that point or acquired that skill yet. Going viral has always that random factor, but I think as you build lot of stuff and I don't know, distribute lot of stuff, I think you start to understand the pattern of what might work and what will not. So you kind of increase those odds, but then yeah, like producing great quality stuff, building good products that actually add value, or creating videos to people that actually add value in form of education or entertainment or humor or anything for that matter. So yeah, I think if all those things are catered or taken care of, then there is high odds of going viral, but I don't think there is a set formula.
So,
Right.
the question, I think, from which we got sidetracked, now we can return back, is did you think that you will go viral after trying to figure out if the AIs can trade better than humans?
Yeah, I thought it would work well, but it kind of performed decently, I think. Some of
Because
the
in
people,
itself, it's a very, big question, because people are like, oh, could we try this, right? Just handing
yeah,
money to, AIs. So do you want to tell our guests, because we sidetracked, what were the models, what kind of outcomes did you notice? Because all the models were very vanilla. You did not adjust the weights.
right. Yeah. It did not. So as I said in my presentations in AI builders, right? So ChatGPT, Gemini, and Claude. So Gemini was able to beat the benchmark, but then Gemini was, I think, the least intellectual there. So I think it kind of acted as that safe investor, which
For,
has
for, for, for
taken.
context, how long was the window of trading?
Right. So for context, the experiment is still running, but I wanted to test it for 30 days. So for 30 days window, given 9 tech stocks, which are all these giant Google, Apple, Amazon, Tesla, Oracle, I think Broadcom, uh, etc. I think I'm missing a few, but all these big tech companies is the universe of stocks, and um, each AI is given $100,000 at the start of day one, and so when I started, this is interesting, right? When I started, I did not have any position caps for each of these AIs. When I say position caps, so uh, given 100% of your portfolio, uh, any one stock should not constitute more than 25% of those of that portfolio's weight. So that's the position sizing. um, and as the experiment went on, I experienced few learnings from there, which made me put a position cap on the stocks. But then when I introspected, uh, one of the guys in the event, after the presentation was done, mentioned that what if that position cap, or the AI that was actually taking that position, was actually true and it was not biased. So to fill in the context, right? Um, Gemini was always up for buying Google as much as possible at that time. And I was not a big fan of that move from Gemini. The reason being, uh, one, it shows the AI's bias against its own creator. And number two is, I was recording the results of this story on a daily basis. And if there was no change, or if Gemini only adds Google, there is no spice in that story, right? And I
Well,
felt,
actually, Sahil, have you thought about the fact that maybe Gemini is cooking up some inside knowledge? You know, maybe
that's
it
a good
knows something we don't know, right?
Mm.
that's a good question. But how do we know, like, Gemini is actually cooking up something?
I
How
don't think
how
they're cooking.
how do you
I don't think
verify
they're
that?
cooking
Unless
recently.
we run two Gemini models in parallel, we're not actually gonna find out.
Yeah,
If
I think that's way to find
if
out, I
I if
guess.
I'm just to add something,
Yeah.
there is a comparable benchmark to this Nasdaq one called Vending Bench 2 by
Mhm,
Andon Labs, and the premise is these agents, they're in control of at first a simulated vending machine or a cafe
mm,
or etc. And later they progressed to a real environment. So a real cafe in San Francisco, in Stockholm, or real vending machine. And it's interesting that when the model understands they're in a simulated environment, they take different decisions from being in a
mm,
real environment. So what the researchers at the lab did is eventually move them into a real environment, and the
mhm,
behavior dramatically changed. So I'm not
mhm,
saying give it real money, but
mhm.
it could be that because models understand where they are, they behave differently. And
So dramatically changed for good or bad?
no, in simulated it's worse essentially, or like they take decisions because they understand they're in a box and like there's no internet access.
Mhm,
They don't make logical decisions when running a cafe. So when
mm,
they actually open up a cafe in Stockholm and San Francisco,
mm, mm,
the models go out and hire real people to work in
mm,
the cafe,
mm,
right? So
mm,
like you would normally run a business, right? To run a
mm,
cafe, you need humans. But
mm,
if it's in a container, it
mm.
doesn't do that. So it just tries to like imitate
Yeah, so it
spinning
starts hallucinating,
workers.
right? It starts inventing people that it can hire, and this again. These are older models. I
Mm.
know that paper really, really well. Um, I think actually Andon Labs, I mentioned it to them, like on LinkedIn, that I used their paper and they liked my post, which was really nice of them. So good folk. But it's a very funny bench because the kind of crazy things these LLMs do just to please people
Mm.
is
Sure.
completely
Yeah.
phenomenal. Like, there's completely lack of determinism. And so I remember you mentioned at the AI Builders that, the context was a really big issue because basically, these models really struggle to take in the information and continue to build up on it, right? Because every single time they have to make a trade, they essentially have to load up all the research, analysis and stuff like that, and also previous trades, and that can be very token expensive upon them.
S- So the previous trades and everything, right? So every trade and every decision, it is written in a JSON file. So essentially, for every subsequent decisions or days, it just access that JSON file to access its own history and everything. So I guess it was not very token heavy, but the most token heavy was gathering the public information itself, like all the news articles, analyst ratings, and all those things, rather than its own trades, because its own trades and decisions, everything was already written in JSON. So I think that token consumption was fine, I guess. But then all this tools which were built, so one was get latest price, the other was get news, the other was get analyst ratings, and there are two more that I'm forgetting. So all this kind of pulls in the data and sends the decisions with the data to LLM. So um all these tools send at least kind of maybe 50K tokens each, which is 50K into 5, which is again 250K for each stock. So they have to do this for 9 stocks for each day. So 9 into 250 into multiplied by 3. 3 is the 3 AIs. So that's the reason why cost kind of jumped up. So early when I started on day one, I was using all like state of the art frontier models from each of these companies. But then as the challenge progressed, I kind of switched to much cheaper models from the same companies. But if I just have used like the state of the art frontier models that these companies have, maybe all of them might have beaten the benchmark. I'm not sure, but I'm not gonna experiment on all those frontier models
Yeah.
just because for every 2 or 3 days it's costing me
Unless we get
30.
sponsored.
Yeah, because I think for every 4 days it was costing me $30.
Yeah.
I don't think I
Yeah.
would do that.
Yeah, unless we
So
get a
yeah.
research grant. But yeah, Tom, this reminds me of one of our previous episodes. I don't know, we just seem to be so right at this point, But remember the interview of the CEO of Palantir, right? He said that essentially using all these frontier LLMs from, these labs, you have a really big problem, because if you were to execute again trades, let's say as an example, right, they steal your alpha. So in essence, if you think about it, they get trained, those for models steal that data, they get trained on it. Maybe short term they're able to create an alpha, but probably long term your alpha evaporates, right? Because if other people are also using the same algorithms, they're asking LMs for tips, then aren't other people doing it, right? Isn't it already priced into the market?
Yeah, true.
I think personally, I think the vast majority of traders, profitable or non-profitable, are still relying on non-LLM algorithms. So I think
No.
there's lots of talk now of bringing agents, LLMs into trading systems. And if you go on Twitter, people will be promising you that their system has outperformed by 20% a day, yada, yada, yada. I'm very skeptical because LLMs have been proven, even on vending bench, that they're incapable of long-term strategic decisions, right? It's all short-term. So, some evidence from that, from those results is the fact that as soon as they're given profit, as these cafes or vending machines, they immediately spend it, right? So
Yeah.
there's no sort of like, hey, let's hold on to this cash, Berkshire Hathaway sort of style. Let's sit on a $400 billion first and think about what we
Yeah.
do, or like try to time the market. No, I think
Yeah.
as soon as one of these models gets money, they'll just invest it. They'll be
Tom,
like,
I'm
you're
hearing that
going,
we need a Berkshire Hathaway .md skill,
but I don't think
for
a
all
skill,
these
I don't think skill will
LLMs.
do, man.
Well, because think about it, right? Is that you have so many companies that have short-term caps on. They're trying to
Mm,
game the financials, and then you end up with situations like Enron. And if like
mm,
Enron was created by an LLM, you'd be like, well, bro, it's just hallucinated.
mm. Even I tried to distill like trading strategies
Mhm.
using stuff like, fair value gap, sort of like Fibonacci levels, stuff that's used manually
You're right.
into an agent. Um, I don't think it will work on an LLM. I think a fine-tuned, you know, RLVR model, maybe. But I think that training data and like performance of historic performance of stocks does not correlate to future performance, right? That's
Right.
like the number one lesson. Is like you can't predict
100%.
what happens in the future. It's like management is what gets you money. But like, how do you instill risk management to a model which can't think long term, right?
Mm.
Yeah.
So like, you would need to load every single decision that he has made, which blows
100%.
up the
And
context, and it's
Yeah.
also,
like blows his mind. Yeah.
right. And also, like for my experiment, right? I think it was very simple premise where I just wanted to check without any strategies, can AI perform well or beat
Mm,
the benchmark? For that novelty of that premise, I think it's super novel, but
mm,
but um, I think to generate alpha or to get alpha, you need some strategies, tested out strategies that you yourself have
mm,
tested out, and even the idea and the experiment has set up, right? Like it takes information from the publicly related or the news, etc. And if you just rely on news and in the stock market, it's super short term, and also you don't have any alpha, right? Like
mm,
it's all publicly available information, and most of the movement is already there in the stock price,
mm.
and the stock has already moved before the news has come out. So
Exactly.
I think, yeah, just for the novelty of the premise and the experiment, it's fine. But to make money, I think we need much more than this,
Yeah. Well,
and
it
it's
seems
not
like
easy.
the difficulty is the fact that, unlike, say, the moving average or another, algorithm that's able to actually price in the previous movements into its data, right? The LLMs are fundamentally very stateless. And that's actually a really big issue because they make a decision now and they can't account for,
Yeah,
what's going to be happening in the future, what's going to be happening in the past. It's just, it's a token prediction machine. And it's not able to, and it just shows that unless you, as Tom pointed out,
yeah,
reinforce learn the entire algorithm so a token predicts the most accurate thing and creates actual alpha, right? You need to use specialized algorithms that people forget about that. But Sahil, overall, what's the one thing that surprised you out of this experiment? Like surprised the heck out of you, something you did not expect.
And
yeah,
maybe just to add, is there one thing that you would do in the next version
differently.
if you were ever to do it? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I think there are few things, right? One thing was that Gemini and Google thing. I did not expect it at all. Uh, where like Gemini took all the wanted to buy all Google stock every day. And I think number two is how expensive the experiment itself is to run. Like, even though uh, it is traded on paper money, but then these API costs are not cheap. Like, just for 9 stocks, I think till now I've spent close to $50 or something, um, including all three. That's because I have switched back to like the lower models. Uh, but then LLMs are not cheap, APIs are not cheap, it's expensive. Even for 9 universe of stocks, it costed a lot. So imagine taking all those NASDAQ stocks and kind of experimenting with it. I think somebody asked in the event as well, why not all the NASDAQ stocks? Um, so yeah, that's one of the problem. I think the maybe for the next version or something that I wanted to try differently is, um, can I use open source models? One, to reduce the cost, two, actually see their intelligence level compared to all these frontier labs. That's one.
Mhm.
Number two is baking in a simple strategy, like any simple trading strategy, or maybe um, given a set of strategies for all three AIs, um, what strategy do they pick for that day or maybe for that week? Like, let's give them 10 strategies which are like simple, maybe moving averages or Fibonacci retracement or whatnot, right? So all of this should not go outside of these 10 strategies, and we tell them to take trades on basis of what you think, right? So because we want to give like the same level feel for all three AIs, because if AIs can go and implement hundreds of strategies, which is for us it to compare, it might be difficult then. So yeah, I think constraining it to kind of those 10 strategies, um, or experimenting with open source models, I think these are something that I think I can do, which might be interesting. Whether I do it or not is the second question.
Yeah, if you are funding to do so, I think it's time for a plug for Tom's another idea, which is something he's been working on, which is run your open source model within a container. Maybe that's how you protect your alpha, right? So they don't the
Right.
labs don't
Yeah.
steal it.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Have your own
yeah,
infrastructure.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Dear
And
listener,
how much is
if
it
you
costing
have,
you?
yeah,
Yeah,
go on. Go, go.
yeah,
No, you go, go.
yeah, yeah.
How much does it
How
cost?
much is it costing you? And tell me the details of how you're running
Well,
and
it depends if you obviously have your own hardware, it's free plus electricity.
yeah, yeah.
Um, if it's a model deployed on
And how much
a
does the
GPU
hardware cost?
to just run a
And how
model
much does
locally,
the Yeah. And how much does the hardware cost to kind of set it up and install it, etc., and buy
okay,
it?
I can do a little practical tutorial. So the
Okay.
cheapest way to go about this is a 3090 RTX, right?
Okay.
So as long as you have a PC, right, to slot it in, you need a 3090, which costs about £900 secondhand. It works perfectly well. You might need to repair the heat sinks if it's really old, but a lot of the times the resellers have it already. Then you need
Mhm.
about 64 gigabytes of RAM if you want to be running Quen 27 billion, right? Quen
Mhm.
27 billion is such a good model for what it is, right?
Okay.
And I think this hardware will go a long way in half a year's time as well, because
Mhm.
now you can run 27 billion. In half a year's time, maybe you're able to run a 70 billion because the laws of compression, these cracked engineers are all around the world. They'll just squeeze more onto those 24
Mhm.
gigabytes. And that model is pretty good for
Yeah.
Mhm.
for just everyday conversations. I think
Mhm.
even a 9 billion model could be
with
fairly long.
active parameters, right? You save so much space.
If you use the MOE model, the 35.
Guys, I think our guests are already massively overwhelmed for this episode, and we'll save this content for another episode. Hopefully, Sohail will return. He likes us enough.
Sure.
We hope.
Sure. Yeah, I do.
Please let us know if you'd like to hear an update from Sohail when he comes back as a millionaire after you figured out the alpha. After
he
you figured
figures
out the
how
alpha.
to do the alpha. And it is because he used an open source model on his own server.
Exactly.
Who would have known?
I think swapping from closed to open would be the solution.
Yeah.
And doing even a training on it, maybe.
Say no to closed AI, say yes to open AI.
Open AI.
To open AI.
Open AI.
Right.
Like the company.
Yeah. We know who he got hired by.
Scam Altman. Yeah. Anyways, thank you for listening, you guys. We love you very much. Please come and support us. Check out the projects we're doing. Comment, share with us what you're doing, and maybe if you're just brave enough, send us a message.
Till later.
Thank you. Bye-bye. See you.
Bye-bye.